YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. 1 week until the NFL draft, and I'm here with the stock reports. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down, with just a week left until it all begins. A lot of news and rumors coming out. The good news is it's mainly good. A lot of stock up. Only a few guys that their stock may truly be down. So we're going to break it all down, and we're going to talk about where these prospects were going to go, and then maybe what we're hearing now, where they're actually going to go. So we're going to break it down here. Plenty of content on the channel, plenty more to come. And we will be live during the NFL Draft, April 23rd. Hopefully you can join us for that right here on YouTube for instant reactions to all the picks. We'll also be making predictions and maybe some instant grades as well. Help us get to that 50K subscriber rate there. We got two channels, the Goat House and the Goat House Plus, and we have a Twitter that we're constantly talking NFL Draft down. We have a bunch of polls and just interacting with all of our viewers here and keeping you updated. So that's a must follow. Make a Twitter if you don't have one. There's a link down below for that, and as well as our podcast on Apple and Spotify. Whose stock is up? Let's start with a quarterback, Justin Herbert. And just so we're clear on all of these, this is whose stock is actually up. It's not my grade. I'm not putting their stock up, in my rankings. Just so we're clear. Justin Herbert, though, before was kind of known as a lock at the QB3, maybe even could be the fourth quarterback drafted, because Jordan Love can sneak ahead of him. Because it felt like a lock of Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa at the top, but now he's getting that top 5 buzz, and he's supposed to be, from what we're hearing, it is smoke season, but he's supposed to be the second quarterback off the board. Even before Tua Tagovailoa. So, I guess teams just really like Herbert. They like his attitude. They like the way he interviewed. He's the prototypical body. And you see in the bottom right there, my grade, I have him at the 4th-ranked quarterback. I'm not super high on Justin Herbert. You understand why somebody can really like him, though. You can understand it. He's got the arm strength, and he's got the body. He seems like a smart kid. But there's a lot of work to be done, in my opinion. But yeah, his stock is up because there's that QB2 talk, the top 5 buzz, whether it's the Dolphins right at 5 or somebody goes ahead of the Dolphins at 3 or 4. Maybe the Dolphins go up 3 or 4. But you got the Lions and the Giants, the potential they can move back. Yet the Chargers can come in. There's some sneaky teams there. But am I buying this one right now? It's still hard for me to say that Herbert goes ahead of Tua. But what we know is there are teams out there that have Herbert over Tua, and that's really why his stock is up and the potential that he will go top 5. So one to look out for there. Another one here is Ezra Cleveland, the Boise State tackle, the athletic tackle, maybe the today's style tackle in the NFL. What's succeeding with all these pass rushers winning with speed, and the veteran tackles maybe getting beat by that and going south pretty quickly. This is the type of tackle that everyone's going towards. It's the type of tackle that's working. So that's why maybe his stock is up. That's why you can understand it. Before, he was kind of known as a mid to late second round. Actually, before the Combine, he was kind of known as a third rounder. Combine hits. We learn he's the athletic tackle. We watched some tape. Everyone watched the tape. Looks pretty good. Didn't play the best competition. So probably mid to late second round pick. But now we're hearing all this buzz that there's teams interested in him in late first. We're hearing the buzz that the rumors that the Browns are interested in him. And this reminds me, I kind of back up a little bit. A couple years ago, 2 years ago, 2 drafts ago, the Raiders. We knew they kind of liked Colton Miller. We remember that? We knew they kind of liked him, but there's no way they're taking him with that pick. Maybe they tried to trade back. We really don't know. They end up taking him there, pretty early, a lot earlier than we thought. So maybe Ezra Cleveland ends up in Cleveland right at that pick 10. Maybe they trade back, but there are other teams that will be interested there late in the first round. So it sounds like there's a good chance he can go there. And I still have a round 2 grade on him because I just wish the tape was a little better. It was good. But when you're playing, when you're a top draft prospect here, which you're implying when we say late first round pick now, and you're playing that weak competition, I want to see you absolutely dominate, absolutely dominate. So that's kind of what's keeping him from being round 1. But the athletic tackles are working in today's game. So keep an eye out for him, possibly going late 1. Also going to make a separate video, with the guys that can be sneaky first round picks and where they may land, potential landing spots. That's a separate video, coming before the draft. But a lot to get to still in this video. Isaiah Wilson, another tackle. This one a right tackle, was pretty much locked in there in the second round, around the middle of the second round, and now. There's a lot of late first round talk, and maybe a month ago, I kind of felt this one may be coming, just because the shortage on true right tackles. It's hard to switch guys from left to right to left. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes you got a feeling a guy can do it. Sometimes the guy has experience playing both. He just had to switch at some point in his college career. Isaiah Wilson's been at right because Andrew Thomas has been at left. So that's kind of why. That's why it kind of makes sense. I don't like him in the first round, really, in terms of his talent. He's almost barely making it in the second round for my talent, in terms of talent, the tape. But I can understand it at the same time why he's going from mid-second to late first, and why teams may take him in the late first. And that's because you have the shortage on right tackles. Really, you take a look at a guy like Lucas Nang from TCU. He's a really good right tackle, and he would be ahead of Wilson on, I think, pretty much everybody's boards. But he was hurt this year, and we didn't get to see him at the combine. The lack of the medical checks, and because of the quarantine situation, people may scratch Nang off their board completely, or it's too risky to take him and start him at right tackle right now because we're looking for a starter. So a guy like Wilson could be that sneaky first-round pick, so another one to watch out for in the first round, day one. Next up, some more linemen. Cesar Ruiz, who didn't really boost the stock a whole bunch, but when we're talking from late first to mid-first or early second to late first, it's kind of a lot. That's the difference in being a first-round pick, I should mention, and I guess some money too. And then, team using a first-round pick on a player is a pretty big deal. But I kind of viewed him as a late first. Now I'm thinking he could still go there, or he can be kind of a middle guy. Why? Because he's pretty much one of a kind in this class. He's not super unique in terms of interior offensive line, which he played center. A lot believe he can play guard. A very good run blocker, pretty solid pass protector. A game that stands out, I always talk about with Ruiz, the Notre Dame game. That was an absolute downpour. The winner of that game was going to be who had the most power, the most fight, the most strength, the most physical play on the inside, and the guys like Ruiz just really stood out, I should say, in that game. So games like that, the toughness. But yeah, so back to why he could be moving up, maybe more of a mid-round pick, but yeah, one of a kind. So teams that need this type of player to start right away, you got Cesar Ruiz, and then you got, there's a couple guys that can do it. But it's a weak interior offense line class. There's a pretty big drop-off after the top guy here. I mean, you look at a team like the Cowboys, picking 17. They're all-pro center, just retired. So how are they going to fill that? They may have to. Right here at 17, maybe they trade back a little bit, but there's teams like the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks should be very interested in him. Maybe they have to move up. Other teams, maybe the Ravens can be a sneaky team. So, the Vikings back there as well. So, this guy has a market. He has a market up there, so he could go a little earlier than you think. And then another offensive lineman, Robert Hunt. So in the same class, interior offensive line class, which I don't think is that good, but I do like Robert Hunt. We happen in the stock report video right here. We happen to talk about my number one interior offensive lineman in Ruiz, and now my number two in Robert Hunt, who actually played right tackle for Louisiana. But a lot of run concepts there, a lot of run blocking and dominant both run and pass. And he's got the build, the power, and the experience to play in right away at right guard. So that guy, during this whole process, nobody really talked about Robert Hunt. Really nobody did, but I kind of viewed him as, a lot of people have kind of viewed him maybe late second, maybe even goes early third. But now he should be a lock to go. I mean, if he gets by mid-second, I'd be shocked. So it should be early second, and I haven't heard anything about him being, a potential late first-round pick, but I would watch out for that. I think that's a sneaky guy because, like I said, we're really limited in terms of starters, impact players in that position, and there's some teams that need it. There's a shortage on those. I was about to say interior offense line, but offense linemen in general. You see a lot of these good teams trying to fight to stay in the playoffs or make the playoffs. They're missing that, So Hunt moving from right tackle to probably right guard. I think he'll be an instant impact guy, so he could be a sneaky one. Haven't heard the first round pick, but I could see it. But I like him early seconds, mainly because the other talent maybe they're still there in the late first, but definitely a sneaky one. And then we got some receivers, Brandon Ayuk, who actually we saw hit, back and forth, up and down during this process. Not in a major way. The very start of this process, kind of viewed as second rounder. Then, everybody starts realizing, this guy's legit. Maybe he's a first round pick. He's super athletic, got a great tape. Get to the combine, and I think people overreact from the combine a little too much. His numbers, because 4.5 is still flying. People don't realize that it's still pretty fast. The tape says faster. Which one would you rather to say faster? The tape. So people kind of moved them down for that, and he, so that moved him down a little bit. Then everybody started to remember the tape again. Everybody started to remember the tape. Let's boost him up. That's not that long ago here. And let's boost him back up late first. There's some teams that definitely could be interested. He's really good against man coverage. He does struggle against press a little bit, but there's not a lot of press going on. Not every play. But he'll just torch a guy, one-on-one. And then great after the catch as well. But then all of a sudden a core muscle injury comes up. He needed surgery, and that's like a week and a half ago maybe. So then we're going back down. Maybe a team can get a steal on him, in the mid to late second. So that's why before today, mid to late second for Brandon Ayuk, the receiver from Arizona State. Now, it looks like he's okay. Yeah, the core muscle injury that he had surgery on, apparently from what we're hearing, is teams somehow check it out. You don't have the ability to do these medical checks right now, but I guess it's a pretty simple and clear type of injury. It's nothing major whatsoever, and several teams don't have that injury concern next to his name on their board. So that can tell us he's back where the talent is, which is a late first round talent, which still don't be shocked if he goes early second because of the other receivers pushing him down. We don't know the order of the receivers. We know maybe the first four, but we don't even know the order of those guys coming off. And then all it takes is somebody to, fool everybody, surprise pick. So I think he could be a late first round pick, looking at teams like, and there's quite a few of them up back there. Teams like, that we can start with the Vikings, then you got the Ravens and you got the Packers, teams like that. At the end of the first round, if the Niners pass on a receiver with their first round pick, maybe the Niners there at the end of the first. So it's a late first round candidate here. And why his stock is up, mainly why he's on this list, is because the injury's checking out. It's checked out. And the same exact thing goes for Laviska Shenault, who stock was pretty high, and then it fell. He goes to the combine halfway through a 140-yard dash. Injury, has to have surgery, and that's kind of on top of his durability concerns. So his stock really goes down. We're talking late second. He's probably going to be there because of he just got injured, and because he already has not major but some durability concerns because he was used so much at Colorado, and you can see him kind of getting beat up at times after he was used so much. It didn't really show last 2 seasons ago. This season it kind of did. So that really pushed him down. You probably can steal him in late second, steal that talent late second. But same like Ayuk, his injury, teams are clearing him. They're taking away that somewhat of a durability concern is still next to his name on their boards, but that there's no injury concern or anything major there. So we can boost him back up. Because the durability concerns are still there. Maybe not. You can't boost him up as much as a guy like Brandon Ayuk. Some people will have Shenault ahead of Ayuk. I think most will have Ayuk ahead of Shenault. I think a little safer of a pick. So a guy that could be a sneaky late first round guy. It's not super sneaky because we know his talent, but or early second, I'd say probably look out for him early second, but the injury news is why he's on this list, this video. Next up, we got a defensive lineman, McTelvin Agim from Arkansas, who's moved around a bit. I think 2 years ago he played more of a mixture of things, but a 3-4 end and a 3 technique, and then this year more of a 3 technique. He's really buzzing. A lot of teams interested in him. At playing at the 3 technique position in the NFL. And before all this, maybe a month ago, we were talking about him early day 3, and now it's all right, let's boost him up a little bit, but I keep moving him up more too because everyone's watching the tape. We see the talents there. You keep hearing more and more that this team's interested, this team's interested, this team. So I wouldn't be shocked if he snuck into the second round, and I think he'll be a pretty good 3 technique because there's a limited amount of those defensive tackles that can get the pressure at the quarterback, but also help in the run game. There's a limited amount of them in this class. There's a limited amount of solid ones with solid potential in general in football. So that's a good reason why. And Arkansas, honestly, not in the best place too. So I think you bring him into that NFL team and you get him in the right position and get him going. I think he'll be pretty solid. So I like him early third. But yeah, watch out for him sneaking in the second. That's a sneaky good player right there. Next up, we got Jordan Brooks, who very recently this morning actually are hearing some first round buzz on Jordan Brooks, and a guy that I've kind of been up and down on too. Early in this process, if you remember, I was talking about him. He should be a sneaky first round guy. I've calmed down a little bit since then because you wish his coverage skills were a little better, but I'm kind of going back up. I'm kind of going back up on him. And yeah, the last month, this last month, maybe a week ago, mainly the talk was early third. Wouldn't be shocking if it was late second, but mainly it was early third. And now there's actually, this one's a crazy one. This is probably one of the bigger ones on this list because there's several teams that actually have him as, after Isaiah Simmons, the best linebacker in the class. And I know scheme probably matters. That's pretty crazy though. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, really. I'm not going to sit here and say, I mean, I have Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen ahead of them, but I'm not going to say they're wrong because I understand fit and what they need, what teams need specifically in their defense, as long as he's worth the value of the pick, but yeah, it might be surprising to some people, if Brooks is ahead of, we'll say, Kenneth Murray. So that's a guy that could go late first, and early second. I don't see him getting by the middle of the second. So it's a sneaky late first guy, but that's the buzz. That's the buzz we're hearing here, and it's supposed to be legit. I don't see the way it's put out there. I don't think it's smoke. It's not coming out that this team says they like Jordan Brooks ahead of Patrick Queen. It's not what's being said. He's a dominant run defender. Teams that need a little run defending help. And why I've come back up on him to where I was before is because, the elite, really the elite run defending is what I want to call it. And then the athleticism, the freakish strength. This guy's got a lot of power. That's what I liked. Maybe what you don't like is the the coverage skills. Maybe more playmaking ability. But you kind of go back and look. He had a big, think Texas Tech defense. There's nothing. It's sad, but there's really nothing going on that defense, and he had a lot of responsibility there in the middle, a lot. So I think he, just in an NFL scheme, I think he's gonna have less responsibilities, and it's gonna be, simplified, not because it has to be simplified, because it just will be, in a solid defense, and he will be. He could be a lot better. And this guy comes in and makes a huge impact in terms of the run defense right away. I just think Ravens right away. I just think Don Martindale's scheme, put him at inside linebackers. A couple other teams I like. We'll have a separate video on that for these sneaky first-round guys. So I do like Jordan Brooks, so we'll see what happens with him. Next, we got C.J. Henderson as another big one, another major one on this list. And you see he's still in the first round. Was in the first round, still is in the first round. So why is he a major stock up guy? Well, the difference between a top 10 pick and a first-round pick, no matter where it's at, in the middle, the back end, that is significant. And the Florida Gators cornerback here has boosted his way into the top 10. And sometimes you get the feel, is it smoke or not? And from these reports, I'm not getting that smoke feel, even though it's a little surprising to me because I am not seeing top 10 pick whatsoever. I have him graded as a late one. And I wouldn't have a problem with the middle of the first, but I have a hard time seeing the top 10. But at the same time, just the feeling I get from these reports, I'm believing it. And there is a lot to like about him. Physical, athletic, successful in his jam at the line. There's some other things he definitely needs to work on. But so he's going from middle of the first. We were kind of thinking, say around the Broncos, Falcons, Cowboys, around there. No way he's getting by. Maybe 22 to the Vikings. No way he's getting by there. That was kind of before, and now it's who's going to get him in the top 10? Is it the Jaguars? Are the Falcons going to trade up and get him? Another sneaky team going to have to trade up and get him. And then the other part why his stock is up is there are teams, several teams, not half, or not more than half, but several teams, under half of the teams in the NFL, that have Henderson number one cornerback in this class ahead of Jeff Okudah. So multiple reasons why his stock is up. It's a little surprising, but it's pretty believable from what I'm hearing. Does that mean he's guaranteed to go top 10? No. If he goes, nobody can predict the draft. That's the beauty. It's so unpredictable. One team takes one guy in a weird spot, and that was supposed to go just outside the top 10. It shakes things up. One team trades up, shakes things up. So if he ends up being, a top 15 pick, I'm still kind of thinking, yeah, that was true. So definitely Henderson should be the second corner off the board. Even if, I don't know if I really agree with that one, but we'll see. Yeah, when I say that, I don't know if I agree if he should be, but he definitely will be. But I do have a round one grade on him still. Next, we got Jeremy Chin. This one's kind of been heating up for a little bit now since the combine and kind of going more and more. Before he was kind of a late third round. Before the combine, it was kind of fourth or fifth. Combine hits, got this freakish size guy, and then he's just running that fast, and he's that freakish, athletically. Looked pretty good in the combine, and that's kind of boosting him up. Around the third round, somewhere around the third round, maybe he can sneak in the end of the second. And that's kind of where he got to, and he's kind of been boosting more because you hear these teams rave about him. They don't like the safety class, so he's kind of up there with those guys, but we like his ability to play in a box, and there's some teams that like his potential at linebacker. From what I watched on tape, the size tells me, looking at him, it tells me, yeah, he's a new school linebacker. But from what I watch on tape, I don't really like him at linebacker right now, but he can be that guy. He can be that guy. And then you look at the linebacker class, and you understand why teams would want him. He's just going to be better probably than a lot of these linebackers, and those guys been playing the position. So I'm starting to understand it more and more. I was kind of mind blown maybe a month ago when I heard several teams, maybe even half or more of the teams like him at linebacker, better than safety. Because the tape tells me, because when he was in the box, I wasn't really thrilled. So the tape tells me he's more safety, slot corner here and there. But so I was a little shocked. But going over the linebacker class and looking at the upside of Chin at the position, if he gets to learn it with the NFL coaches, kind of understanding a little more the shortage of the linebackers and the shortage of the safeties, even the box safeties that are key in today's game. I can understand why the stock is up. So he sounds like an early second and actually could be a sneaky first. Those teams that just love the measurables combined with the athletic ability and the somewhat a fun project. By project, I don't mean it's a project. It's bad. We got to make it better. Not really like that, but fun little hobby almost. That's how coaches view these things. Sometimes they don't want to. Sometimes they don't want the guy that's all polished because that guy's pretty much got his ceiling already. So. I would be surprised still in the first round, but I've heard he could be a sneaky first. Watch out for him early second. I still prefer him in the third round. I'm not in love with this tape. Don't dislike it. I don't love it. Again, keep in mind he's played pretty weak competition on top of that. And then next up, we have Ashton Davis, safety from California. We didn't get to see him at the combine because of an injury, and that's been cleared. So what I don't really get, and what I don't have really the information on, unfortunately, is how some of these guys are being able to be cleared, and some guys are like, well, this guy's hurt. The COVID quarantine just screwed him over. Oh well, but then some guys are like, all right, yeah, he's good. So that's I guess something that I don't understand. Maybe we won't understand until draft day. Maybe those guys that we think will be hurt because of the quarantine won't be. Maybe the NFL does their job right. Teams do they do their job right. Hopefully, but Ashton Davis seems to be cleared. Teams are okay with him, and his tape's great. He's a playmaking safety, free safety in the back end, very athletic. Used to be a track star, and not a whole bunch of years playing. Getting the reps, really. So he's got the upside, too, and it seems like he has natural instinct. So there's a lot to like about Ashton Davis. And the only thing was, the injury, and now it seems to be pretty clear. So, right on the combine, we didn't get to see him, a guy we were looking forward to seeing, and that kind of pushed him back to early third because we didn't get to see him there. And then now, early to mid-second. It wouldn't completely shock me if he was the first safety off the board. I don't know if a safety goes first. It's possible. I would be a little surprised, but I wouldn't completely rule it out if he somehow snuck in the end of the first and was a safety off the board. But you kind of have Winfield, McKinney, and Delpit. There's four guys. Four guys that none of them are, You watch them and they're like, wow, that's a first round talent. None of them are like that, but all four you watch them and you go, wow, these guys are pretty good, and any of them can be this number one safety. So it's going to be interesting to see. Everyone talks about the order. The receivers are going to come up, the corner going to be out, corners going to come up, but I'm looking at those four safeties that I view in the top mix. But then you also add the Jeremy Chins, who we just talked about, the Kyle Duggars, who's a small school kid that could be a box player, a linebacker player. So it's very interesting for sure. I have a second round grade on him. Upside is through the roof for Ashton Davis. Definitely a fun one to watch. And then to the guys that are stocked down, only a few of them. Tua Tagovailoa, we talked about. The first one we talked about in this video was Justin Herbert. His stock is up, and it's mainly because part of it is because Tua's stock is down. I think part of it is also because teams just view Herbert as more of a easier fit, even though he's definitely not going to be an easier plug and play. Mainly you're worried about Tua's injuries, so the injuries scare him. And then his stock goes down because of that. So before, it just felt like he was a lock at QB2, and he was a top 5 lock. Like the Dolphins were the latest that were going to take him, and they're probably trading up for him, or the Chargers are hopping over and taking him. And now I get the feeling that it's QB3 if the Herbert stuff is true. But some people believe, if teams are moving him down to QB, not saying QB3, I guess. If teams are moving him down behind Justin Herbert because of injuries, they're too scared. What's stopping them from moving him down below Jordan Love, or do we even go further? So that's kind of what pops into my mind. It's still hard to believe more teams have Tua behind Herbert. There was like polls done with executives were polled. 12 of them were polled, and 7 said Herbert was QB2 over Tua, or he was gonna go off the board. So it's a lot's coming out on it. So if it's true and if it's because of injury, what's stopping those teams from moving him down even more? We don't really know that. So did Herbert jump him? Did Love jump Tua? Maybe I think some teams will have Eason ahead of some of these guys. So it's a interesting and crazy situation. We'll see if it's BS. We'll see if it's true. At this point, it's almost believable because it keeps coming out. I think on most teams' board, if you took 32 teams, he might be quarterback 3. He might be quarterback 3 in my opinion. He should be quarterback 2. He's closer to. It's crazy because Joe Burrow is the best quarterback I ever scouted, but Tua is closer to being quarterback 1 than he is 3 for me. So that's and you see in the bottom right, my grade QB2. That's no question. Even with the injury, if you're scared about the injury, don't take him. That's fine. Don't take him. But doesn't mean you got to reach for the next quarterback. There is a wide gap between Tua Tagovailoa and the next quarterback. There is a big gap, and it's my opinion, but I feel very strongly about it, and a lot of you feel strongly about it. The injury's scary. Some of you don't want to take them. Whether you're a fan of any team, really, don't want to take them. That's fine. That's fine. You don't reach for the next quarterback. That's not how things work. That's how you create losing situations. That's how you lose your job. That's exactly how you lose your job. You're going to pass up on the Isaiah Simmons or one of the top tackles in the draft because you absolutely have to take a quarterback, and this guy's hurt, so we're going to take this guy that was 3rd on our board. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So we'll see what happens there. A couple other guys whose stock might be falling. There's not too many of these guys at all. That's the good news. But Patrick Queen maybe a little bit here. It's a little bit, nothing major, but because he's a well-known top prospect, it's kind of significant, I suppose. But it kind of goes into Jordan Brooks, kind of backing up to Jordan Brooks. There's several teams that have Jordan Brooks, number 2 linebacker after Isaiah Simmons. And I've heard some people that really like Kenneth Murray still, and there are teams that are going to like Patrick Queen. So before, most of this process, what I gathered was most teams had Queen at 2, I thought, behind Isaiah Simmons. That was, I guess, right after the national championship game, maybe around those parts. Combine was great for him, and he was supposed to go mid to late first. Wasn't going to drop to the second, before. And now we're hearing, that I think most teams have Brooks and Kenneth Murray ahead of him, if that's true, if it's not smoke. So he could be I think the late first. You look at the teams that need the inside linebacker. You look at the teams that like the Ravens or the Packers. It's kind of tough to see one of those teams passing him up. But he could go early second. He wouldn't fall far from there. But I also think another reason is not really teams are changing their mind. I think kind of the media perspective. And then I guess all of our perspectives, even maybe scouts too, because you remember the national championship game, he was absolutely dominant. And that looks like easily a first round talent. But then you kind of go back and watch the tape from the rest of the games, and they don't really match. He's still good. It doesn't really match though, so you kind of calm down a little bit. So maybe the media and everyone's a little higher on him than teams actually are, because of that. Because the teams are going to watch every single game, every single snap, and I can't even count how many times. We're not able to do every single game in these guys' snaps. Every single snap of these guys' careers and several times. Watch a stupid amount. But whether it's live and the tape too, I can't count how many times I watch the same game over and over again. But yeah, so these guys know, and that's why he could drop a little bit. But there is a shortage there's a wide gap after some of the linebackers we talked about at the top there, a wide gap after those guys. So there will be demand. There will be a market for him. He is my linebacker 3 in this draft. I still kind of think he'll go late first. We will see, though. And then last one here is Tyler Biadasz, who was kind of known as a late second-round pick before, kind of a guy that could be a plug-and-play center where he played at Wisconsin, but also can play guard. Very good blocker. Big reason why open up those holes for Jonathan Taylor. But apparently teams aren't good with his medicals. I don't know why that's coming out now, because when was the last time they did the medicals? Really, so that's a little confusing. But it's you can trust the source for sure. Hip injuries and knee injuries. So a little bit of wear from Tyler Biadasz. So from what I'm hearing is early fourth is very realistic. Maybe he can drop further than that, but it's hard to see him drop further than that because he's a lot better than those guys in the range in the weak interior offensive line class. So my grade was third round. But yeah, watch out for that. The injuries definitely can push him to early day 3, which is early round 4. So we'll see. But it was kind of known as that late second round guy before. Wouldn't be shocking if he was early third. But we'll definitely see on him. But that's going to do it for the stock report and rumors. We're going to have other rumors videos. I'm going to take all the sneaky potential first round prospects and put them in a video and put who in the first round would take them. Who do they fit best? So that's going to be another video. All kinds of videos on the channel. A lot more than just that to come for sure. We're going to be live during the NFL draft April 23rd right here on YouTube. Join us for that. Follow that Twitter. It's an if you don't have a Twitter, you should make one. The content is unreal on there if you like the content here. Always talking football. And yeah, like I said, we still got to do at least one more mock draft, different types of mock drafts. The fan voted mock draft's got to come out. Still some more position rankings as well. So, I mean, an insane amount of content here at the Goat House. So please comment on your thoughts about these guys. If you're believing some of these rumors about stock up, stock down, would love to see that. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.